So namaskar and a very good afternoon. On behalf of EPCH, I welcome you all to our webinar organized as part of IFJAS, that is the Indian Fashion, Jewelry and Accessories Show, which has gone virtual for the very first time due to the present circumstances. Well, as the COVID-19 pandemic brings about lockdowns and suspended events, life itself cannot be suspended, life has to go on. And we at EPCH understand this, and we are seeking novel ways to meet the challenges, and we are determined to turn this crisis into opportunities. So here we are, connecting with the world, connecting with all of you, with our international buyers, with our exporters, with our members, through this virtual platform. I'd like to welcome, first of all, we have Mr. Anshul Gola, Vice President of IFJAS of this fair. Welcome, Mr. Gola. He's been in the field of fashion jewelry for last many years, and his company has been exporting all across the globe. And we also have with us Ms. Nupur Batra. She's also Vice President Fair. Welcome, Nupur. I can also see Mr. Vineet Bhatia, who has just joined in. He's President Fair. Sorry, I missed you in the window. Welcome. So, and of course, last but not the least, we have Mr. Anuj Khanna, our distinguished expert of the day. He's going to share with us his knowledge and expertise on digital marketing. Before we begin and request Mr. Khanna to start his presentation, I'd like to give a small introduction about him. He studied from the University of Bradford, UK, and international business training he's done from Berkeley University, California. He is the co-owner and CEO of Sawa International, India's premier 39 years old home textile export house. In his 17 plus years of work life, Mr. Anuj Khanna has been a successful entrepreneur, trainer, and investor. He's helped hundreds of businesses and buyers scale up and increase their sales results from 17% to over 200% in the area of international businesses, sales, and streamlining their business operations. As executive director of Sawa, he has pioneered the company's designs and products and operations to become a global company, and has several tie-ups and collaborations to his credit in Sweden, in USA, and in many other countries as well. He's participated in more than 67 international trade fairs across 5 continents. He also works very closely with the government of Uzbekistan on training and consultancy in training small-scale businesses of Uzbekistan. He's also authored a book titled Biggest Problem of Buying Textiles from India and How You Can Fix It. So over to Mr. Khanna. You can start your presentation. We will also be having question answer session after you finish your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mridul. Thank you for your wonderful introduction, and thank you EPCH for this opportunity. And it's the right time for this digital marketing, because this is the way forward. And I think it's time that we all exporters are ready to embrace it. I'll start with my presentation now. So how to win big? That's the topic that I'll be working on discussing today, and how to win big using digital marketing. And so thanks a lot, the EPCH Council, for giving me this opportunity to address the fellow exporters and the participants and the exhibitors. And digital marketing is the new world of the marketing. Everyone is aware of it in their own levels of information. What I'm going to be covering in today is all related to the B2B scenario, and most importantly, what the exporters can do in a B2B scenario of using the digital marketing, and what kind of vehicles we'll be using in the digital marketing. Before I go forward, I would like to cover some of the problems, the major problems or obstacles that the exporters face. So one of the things that most of the exporters face is they don't know what digital marketing is and how will it work for export businesses. Or there is a challenge of where to start from in digital marketing. The other challenge that we face is they have spent a lot of money on their website, but they have failed to get the leads or the sales converting from the website. So one of the thinking is that the website is there to show your branding, to show your company. Of course, that's an important area. But I guess the most important thing is that the website should be able to generate certain leads or sales, and that should be the prime motive of having the website. Or they have a problem that I have a digital marketing team. They keep doing something. I don't understand what they do. And at the end, there are no significant results that a business owner is able to take out from the digital marketing activities that they're doing. Digital marketing might not work for B2B businesses. That's also I've heard with the companies that I've been working and coaching with, that digital marketing is more about B2C, where consumers can come and buy. Or there are statements that my business is different, my business is special, we are into X product or Y product, and digital marketing might not be the best. Or there are also statements that I have had an agency, I've paid them month after month, but I can't see the real results. Results in the sense of increased leads or results in the sense of increased sales turnover. I know it has worked for others, but I don't know how will it make it work for my business. That's another area which has an objection or a caution in different exporters in their mind, that how digital marketing is working for others. They see stuff on social media or through different vehicles of digital marketing, but they are unable to comprehend that how will it work in my business scenario. And that's one of the problems I've also seen, that digital marketing doesn't work for me. It's a scam. So that people think that it doesn't work. So these are some of the common problems exporters also face while working and getting into the new era of digital marketing and utilizing the digital marketing. So before I go forward, I'll just quickly introduce myself once more. I have just completed the first book, which just came out yesterday, and it would be ready. On the biggest problems of buying textiles from India. And I'm the co-owner and the executive director of Sava International. It's a 39-year-old company with experience and expertise, and we're exporting to 51 countries worldwide. I'm also a trainer and a coach with Uzbekistan government. I'm working with small and medium-sized companies where I coach them in getting into the global sales. So I've been traveling for businesses across 48 countries with work with 419 international companies, some of them with Fortune 50 companies as well. And also this book is an outcome of a lot of exercises and the workings that were done with a few of the Fortune 50 companies of interviewing and finding what are the challenges of buying textiles from India. So I'm a published author. And about 97 international trade fairs is what I have covered in my 17 years across different 5 continents, from Japan, from Asia, from Europe, from North America. So that's a small brief about me. So in the next 60 minutes, that's the time that has been allotted, and digital marketing is really a huge, very, very vast. It's like a sea, it's an ocean of ways of marketing. But what I will try and cover in the next 60 minutes is how do we generate abundance of leads or inquiries using LinkedIn marketing? Because from my experience, LinkedIn marketing is one of the most fruitful and the easiest way to generate leads when it comes to a B2B scenario. I would also cover how to create content for digital marketing, because that content marketing is by itself a very, very important tool of what is content marketing. In the next 60 minutes, I'll also cover the delivery and amplification of the marketing messages to your targeted audiences. So one is the delivery and the other is amplification. Now, delivery is what vehicle or what mode of digital marketing should the exporters use to win big using the digital marketing, because there are different vehicles, like there are different vehicles from cars or scooters or buses. Similarly, in digital marketing, there are different deliveries that can be used. And one is choosing the right delivery, and the other is amplification or blowing out the delivery that has been utilized. You would also be learning about taking charge of your 5 building blocks of global sales. These are the building blocks, or I would say the pillars of the sales, and it should be on the fingertips of every business owner. What are these 5 building blocks and how are we monitoring? That's an area. Then I'll be working on how to increase your lead conversions drastically. And sometimes the business owners gets a lot of inquiries, but they do not get converted into an order. So in a B2B scenario, what are the strategies or the techniques? So I'll be touching on this area as well, that what things should we be doing that if we have leads, we are able to convert them substantially in terms of only getting the leads and somehow not getting converted. And most importantly, on how to consistently keep adding new customers. One of the pain problems or areas in the exporter industry and being an exporter, I've seen that we all have a lot of consistent buyers or old buyers. And our business is quite a lot dependent, where the sales turnovers could vary from a small company to about 70, 80% or 90% from one customer or two customer, and the rest is very less. And over a period of time, we become more dependent on these customers or 2 or 3 customers, and we fail to take enough knowledge and information on adding new customers. So the digital marketing is the way to keep adding new customers consistently. So 7 shocking facts about offline sales or traditional marketing is more than 83% of the businesses don't meet their lead generation goals. So exporters, there are few exporters I've come across who have lead generation goals, that how many leads would be generated in a week, how many leads or inquiries would be generated in a month, in a quarter, in a year. But 83% of the businesses, as it says, the study, that they don't have clear lead generation goals of how many inquiries needs to be generated. 44% of the salespeople give up their follow-ups. You know, after 1 follow-up or maximum 2, they will not be able to go back to the customer and follow up again of what happened to the inquiry that was raised. And on an average, salesperson makes only 2 attempts to reach a prospect. So they're going to call them once or send 1 email or try and meet them once. And then after 2 attempts, if nothing works out, the salesperson, majority of the salesperson do not go back to the same customer asking for repeats. And 35 to 50% of the sales actually go to the vendors or the suppliers who responds first, or the buyer mail comes in and the exporter or the companies take 24 hours, 48 hours, 52 hours for responding to an inquiry on an email. More than 80% of the exporters that we don't have the budget to attend international expensive trade fairs or travel abroad meeting limited suppliers. Now, this is one of the chronic problems, because everybody doesn't have an unlimited budget to go into international trade fairs to get new customers or to travel abroad. And even if you're traveling abroad with a suitcase of your samples, you can meet only limited people. 1, 2, 5, 7, you can make out a 15-day trip, you can meet 15 customers. These are one of the facts that we are working with when we are working with traditional or offline sales. Over 87% salespeople forget their past customers and they don't go back. Even if they were lost for any reason, we are not taking enough actions of going back and reaching the old customers which were there with us or who have bought with us for any reasons before. And over 63% clients don't know the full range of services. Many times clients are looking for products and services, but they do not have access to what is available as an exporter, as a company, of what is your complete product category, what all product categories you do. In a traditional way, it becomes difficult because you have to show or leave a physical catalog which can get lost. So these are some interesting, shocking facts actually about traditional and offline sales that I wanted to share. On the other hand, I'm going to be sharing 7 amazing benefits of digital marketing in a B2B scenario specifically. First is an explosion of lead generation. The inquiries could actually explode. And when I say explode, because if you go on a trade fair, okay, a good trade fair, you can have a target of, say, I'm going to get 70 inquiries, I'm going to get 50 inquiries, or whatever the target is. But when you work in digital marketing, the sky is the limit, because leads or inquiries could really explode using the digital marketing. Improved conversion rates. Now, improved conversion rates, if you go to a fair, there could be all kind of people, but when you set up a system in your digital marketing, the conversion rate actually skyrockets. That's the second amazing benefit that of digital marketing. The third is the cost effective than traditional marketing. As I said a bit earlier, that traveling to international trade fairs or attending physical trade fairs, the samples or personal traveling to get new inquiries, or it's one of the most expensive ways of getting new inquiries or new customers. Your business, now this one is very interesting, because in a trade fair, the trade fair starts in a day, it ends in a day. Now in the virtual digital marketing, and I'm so very happy about EPCH virtual trade fair, because it is a phenomenal exercise that helps you keep your store, keep your shop open. And you're open 24 hours, 365 days, so you do not have to go back. You can still be generating inquiries, you can still be responding to customers, so it's up to you. And the word when you see on my screen, it's called Mauke Ki Dukaan. In the local business, if you want a good sales, the strategy is कि हमें मौके की दुकान चाहिए, या कॉर्नर की शॉप चाहिए, या साउथ एक्स के मार्केट में सबसे क्लोजेस्ट शॉप होनी चाहिए, वहां पे फुटफॉल ज्यादा होता है. Well, in digital marketing, you can create your own मौके की दुकान with different strategies being followed in digital marketing. You can have your own exclusive where the customers who are looking online or who are looking to buy products and services that you're offering can immediately come to you directly. The other amazing is higher revenue. Of course, when you're able to sell at multiple people at the same time, there's going to be, there is going to be higher revenues that are possible. Reach qualified buyers. When you are able to sustain and understand what are the kind of buyers, who are your target audiences, where are they currently buying, all this is possible digitally. And one-to-many sales at the same time. So in a trade fair, or if you have a bandwidth of 3 salespeople or 4 or 10 or 20, there is still a bandwidth. If in the digital marketing, with the systems and strategies being applied, you can have multiple autoresponders and auto replies, so you can sell to many people at the same time, instead of limiting your bandwidth of one to one customer sales. Now, there are 3 areas of businesses and way to focus, and in any business, rather in B2B, it becomes much more important also, but sales and marketing, operations, and production. Now, in all the 3 areas, what I see, most of the businesses owners are spending 80% of their time in operations and production. And on an average, only 20% of the business owners, exporters, are able to spend real time on sales and marketing. And this is completely wrong, because sales and marketing is the only one area that brings in the money in the company. The rest 2 areas, operations and production, are the areas where they take the money out of the company. Whereas a business owner should be focusing more, 80% of their time into sales and marketing, and 20% of the time in production and operations. Because the more time you're able to spend in sales and marketing is the place where you can grow your company's business, because that's the area where the money is going to come inside your company. By sitting in production or sitting in operations, you'll not be able to get new leads, new customers, new businesses, new sales. That is not happening. So that's one area I wanted to discuss, because at the end, we all understand that sales is equal to income, and everybody wants to increase their sales. They want to increase their income, and a higher income would lead to a better life. And so the focus of the business owners in digital marketing as well, if it's a new area for your company, has to be that you're able to spend 80% of the time into the digital marketing, because your income or the company sales turnover is going to be directly proportional to the skills of your sales. And digital marketing being the new thing and the new way of doing businesses is the area that the business owners should be focusing most of their efforts, most of their energy, most of their learning, most of their thinking in the digital marketing. Now, as I said, there are 5 building blocks of sales. And if we have to improve anything, if we have to make use of digital marketing, we have to understand where we are. For example, if I want to lose my weight, I'm going to say, okay, I'm 80 kilo and I would like to come at 70 kilos. So I need to measure it. Now in sales, the same thing has to happen. We need to measure where our sales are. But a lot of companies immediately say the sales means my turnover or how much business then I did. I did 1 crores or 2 crores. Where in sales, it is not only the turnover that you did, there's much more beyond. And this is what I call the 5 building blocks of sales of any businesses. The first one is the number of leads. We need to track and control and monitor what is the number of leads that I'm having. Even if you're doing traditional marketing, that's okay. If you're doing businesses with buying agents, that's fine. But you need to track and start accounting for how many inquiries did you receive, where are you receiving those inquiries, whether it is from buying agents, whether it is from your website. You have to have a track of your number of leads. The second is, what's my conversion ratio? If I'm getting 10 leads and I'm converting 20% of my inquiries into an order, so you have to track what's my conversion ratio. Because in order to increase your sales in the digital marketing, this would become a mandate to understand how many leads are generated, how much is getting converted, because there are different strategies that can be applied for both. There are strategies that you can apply to increase your leads. There are strategies that can be applied to increase your conversion ratio. Average dollar sale or a rupee sale. So if your customer is buying, what is the average dollar sale that they're buying? They give you an order, $10,000, for example. They give you another order, $15,000. So the total becomes $25,000. So you have to understand what is my average dollar sale for each transaction that I'm doing. Because again, as I said, there could be different strategies, and there should be different strategies applied digitally as well to increase your average dollar sale. Fourth is number of transactions, which basically means that how many times the customer is buying from you, whether their cycle time is once, twice, 3 times in a year, 5 times in a year, or every quarter. So depending upon how frequently they are buying from you and how many transactions they are doing in a year, this needs to be tracked. And fifth is margin. At what margin are we selling it? What margin do we sell A product, or what margins do we sell B product? Because there could be different techniques and strategies being used. Now, the reason I included this particular slide into our presentation is that the exporters, first thing I would highly recommend is to start tracking it. Start capturing this data, start seeing this data, that how many leads are coming in, how many are getting converted, what's my average dollar sale, what's my number of transactions, what's my margin. Because sales is completely a game of figures. If we can do different things into different strategies to increase our sales. And when we are really working on to digital marketing, which is up next, these are the numbers that are going to be, they have to be handy on the business owners, is that they understand how many inquiries I have received, what's my conversion ratio for May, what's my convertibility ratio, what's my average dollar sale of this customer, the total all this needs to be tracked, because unless and until we know where we are, we can't go where we want to be. If there are two different things, this is where I am and this is where I want to be. We all have an aim or a dream. I want to do X amount of turnover. I want to do X amount, but we don't know where we are currently, because sales is a breakup of all these 5 things. This is what results in a company's sales. This is what results in a company's profits. So these are the critical building blocks that I would recommend that everybody starts tracking it for their businesses. And as I said, we need to keep a track of where we are currently. So let's understand where we currently are in a B2B scenario. Even during this workshop or after the workshop, you can see the recordings and make a list of your inventory, that as on date, your company in the digital marketing scenario, where you are. You need to make a list. If your website is there, is it updated? It needs some improvement, whatever, make a list of where you are. Does your company have a Facebook page? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a blog? Do you have a Twitter handle? Do you have a LinkedIn page? Do you have an Instagram page? Because in B2B scenario, you have to be choosing the right platform. Now, Facebook is an excellent platform, but I don't know if it's the right one for B2B. I am working into I'll be coming on to three key ones, which have really exploded the sales and the inquiries for my company, as well as the companies that have been working in India, as also in Uzbekistan. Because there are different strategies. In a B2B scenario, I'll be working three most important and critical in the coming few minutes. But before we do that, you have to take an online activity status of your company, wherever it is, because there is no way forward without digital marketing. Whether it's B2C, whether it is B2B, whether it is B2G, when you are working from a business to the government, everything is moving digitally. So we should know where we are today and where we would like to do. And you don't have to do everything at the same time. You can make your progress, make your goal list that this is what I want like to complete, this. Otherwise, it could be becoming an overwhelming, which one should I use, which one I shouldn't. So take an online activity status of your company, understand where is the current state of your business, on which portals are you available, which portals are not available. Now, three leading areas to win big through digital marketing in B2B, which according to me are the three most important three areas, and that's what I would like to cover. One is content marketing strategy. Now, content marketing strategy is an area where you have to understand, I'll be covering it, that what kind of content should be made, what should be my domain, what should be my content that is going to be put on, and by delivery and application, which is the second stage, is what kind of vehicle I'll be using. What kind of platform will I be using to communicate the content that is being created? And amplification means how I am going to really blow it out, how I'm going to inform my customers, how I'm going to inform my potential consumers that this is what we are doing and in what different platforms we can do this. And the third is follow-up, because digital marketing is a lot about follow-ups, and there are different ways of follow-up. By follow-up, I do not mean to send an email or a call. Sir, what happened to my product? I send you an offer. Did you have a look at it? That's the worst way of actually following up. It's the worst way you can do is to call up and ask, sir, I've sent you that offer, or I've sent you that sample. What is the status? So in digital marketing, there is a different way of follow-up, which I'll try and cover in the next few minutes as well. The 6 stages of buying cycle, and the reason I would like to discuss why we should know the buying cycle, being into exports, everybody knows there is a selling cycle. When we meeting the customer, then you demonstrate that you are strong enough, you have that product, you have the services, then you send a photo offer or a price offer, then you send certain samples, and then the order converts. So this is basically a sales cycle. Now, from a selling perspective, why I want to address the 6 stages of buying cycle, because if we have to work digitally and use the digital technology and the availability, we have to understand what is the psychology of the buyers, how the export buyers look at exporters or look at different suppliers, and what happens to their mind, what goes behind their thinking, why they choose X over Y in terms of a supplier, or why they choose A product over B product. Now, because whatever content we make, whatever delivery we'll do, whatever amplification we'll do, has to be touching the psychology of the customers. Because you have to understand that you have to meet the customer requirements. In order to meet their requirements, what we say as NICE analysis in my company, their need, their interest, their concerns, their expectation. That's what we call in our company, it's called NICE analysis. So what are their need? What are their interests? What are their concerns? What are their expectation needs to be understood. And you can only understand when you think from the psychology of a buyer. So like the sales cycle, we have a buying cycle. So let's understand what's a buying cycle. It's very simple. It's something like what you and I would do when we have to buy, for example, a new dress or a new phone that we have to buy. What we do, we get aware, okay, this phone has been launched. There is a phone that is available. Then we consider, we go on the website or we talk to our friends, we check different product options. What are the different product options available? We compare multiple suppliers. Okay, this supplier is giving, or this shop is giving me for X, the other one is giving me for Y. Then we start comparing, why is he giving for $1 and the other one is giving me for 1.5? What's happening? We evaluate the company. You know, this sub company services well, they deliver on time, they know my quality, they know my compliances. So we evaluate, the buyers are evaluating the company and products. Then they also could review the samples and discuss with the team. Now, this is called the consideration and the preference stages. This is where the buyer's thinking is. First is being aware. It could be through traditional or offline or digital marketing. The customers become aware of what your product and services are, how is it going, and then they start considering your product of whether to buy or not. And slowly down the funnel, they come to the preference stage where they say, okay, A supplier is better than B supplier because of any reason. Reason could be their interest or expectation or the particular need. For example, if you don't have a specific time of a compliance and buyer likes your products is cheaper, your product is well designed, but you don't have a compliance that the buyer is a mandate. So that doesn't go as a preference stage. So once you go through, finally the buyer buys and gives you a purchase order. When they find the best deals, they find the best prices, they find the best compliances, the delivery, and finally the buyer says, okay, yes, this is your purchase order, and the exporter is happy to receive the purchase order. Now, the next stage comes the loyalty stage. What is the loyalty stage? Loyalty stage is when the buyers are consistently, repeatedly buying from us. So when the same kind of buyers is coming back to you again and again, year after year, it basically means that the customer is turned into a loyal customer. Because you haven't messed up, you have delivered on time, buyer likes you over XYZ for any reason, and the customer becomes loyal to you. And the last stage is what I say is advocacy. And advocacy means when they start promoting you as a company with their peers, with the other people, and they start promoting you. And promotion doesn't mean they have to advocate you outside. It could be they can ask you, for example, if you make clothes, if you make pants, can you make me shirts? If you make me belts, can you make me watches? Things like this is also when you try to cross-sell or upsell, and the customer comes to you, okay, you don't deal in XYZ. Is it possible that you can make it for me? And that is why the customer is happy to even buy products which can cross-sell or upsell your product or services. So the reason I wanted to cover this is once only we know, we would have to create our content, which is my first topic next up, is what content we create is going to depend on what's the psychology of the customer. Because buying is always emotional decision. It is being logical because the buyer has to show it, but at the end, it becomes a emotional decision. Now, content marketing strategy. When we come into digital marketing in B2B, is creating your marketing content a challenge? And I think that a lot of people face this issue that what content, what should I write for my emails? What should I write for my website? What should I write for social media presences? Now, these are common content challenges a lot of exporters and companies face, that what should I be writing about? Now, if this is a challenge, we have to decide what content is needed. What is that customer would like to hear? What is the customer's interest, need? And once you understand their customer and the nice analysis of that customer, you have to talk and tell about what they are looking for, whether it's compliance, whether it's a new product, whether it's a particular finish. It could vary across the nice of the customer. Our content should be able to seduce people to read. It should not be with it has to have a catchy heading where it catches the eye and you make people stop, because there is flood of information out there on the digital world. I mean, it's exploded. You guys must have also noticed, everybody has noticed that during the COVID, WhatsApp was bombarded with information. And I feel that today, the most important thing is not money. It is actually getting the attention of the consumer. The company who's able to get the attention of the consumer is the company who is able to sell it. And in digital marketing, with so much is happening, we have to work towards getting and holding the consumer's attention so that consumers are able to listen. We have to give them reasons to force visitors to come to our website or generate leads. We have to arrange content that automatically attracts them to come and look at what we are doing. We have to be very, very super clear. What is our USP? What is our unique selling proposition? What is our unique selling information? That has to be crystal clear. A lot of companies have a vague USP, and one of the worst things you could say is that I have a best quality. My quality is very good, and I have listened to this from many companies, because no one has ever seen a salesperson who comes and tells in the sales pitch, my quality is bad. Everyone says my quality is best. I have a good quality, I have a best quality, because if you ask how's the quality, no one is going to say my quality is bad. Everyone is going to say my quality is best. So quality cannot be, because it's a basic mandate today to have a consistent kind of a quality. So the crystal clear marketing message of your USP, of your Mafia offer. By Mafia offer means it's an offer which is unregrettable or undeniable by the customer. Reasons for existing buyers to buy again. Well, everybody has customers and they go and they don't come back because we don't do enough activities. So what is the reason? Okay, if you delayed your shipment, the shipment got cancelled, it was a quality complaint, whatever reason the customer left, we have to generate enough reasons for them to come back. And that can only happen with the kind of content that we are writing and delivering and amplifying that content into different vehicles for digital marketing. So what kind of contents should we be generating on leads and sales and lead generation? Articles about your industry, your company, articles about the products, about the benefits of buying from you. We have to be working on the article writing or writing white papers, basically a document white paper which states a proof or a market research or a study about a particular thing. Now, when we are trying to sell a product in B2B, we are only focusing on the product. Where in digital marketing, you have to expand your vision. It is not only about the product, it's about the benefits of the product. It's about the industry surrounding your product. It's about different things coming together. It cannot be always about the product. So white papers, free trials, demo of your product, services, whatever product or service. You can be offering design CADs. You can be offering design layouts. You could be holding your customer's hand and tell them, okay, I'm going to work out all the design work at my end. I'm going to publish it in a catalog. If your catalog level today is here, you can make it here. This is easily possible in India to have a different level of catalog altogether. You make their life easier. You make their customer's life easier. So that kind of content for your lead generation, case studies of your industries, whatever area of your industry is, there is bound to happen changes in the industry. Every industry is going through a massive, massive change. And at this point of time, the whole world is going through a change. So case studies on your industry. Success stories. What are the success stories? You have supplied certain products to a customer. And I'm sure the customer were very happy with their products. So what happened to that? Where are the success stories? And not only from the customers, you did something out of your goodwill, you donated certain amount from your company's pocket, you did something for an NGO, you did something for the underprivileged. You have to tell and inform customers, create the content about the success stories. Small things are also successes. And I've seen that small things that a lot of companies do, they don't tell them as a success story, where it could be very small for you, but it is a success story. And that's what I would like people to understand and take a breath, take a step, understand what they are doing. If they are about, for example, 200 people working in your company, in India, they say that 5 is the average per family. So it's about 1,000 family lives dependent on your company. That's a success already. If you have been doing it for many years, that's phenomenal. So you have to see and broaden your vision about the success stories and what to write. Testimonials. In B2B, in all businesses, testimonials work. In B2B, it has to work. And some companies ask for it, some companies don't ask for it. but it definitely needs to be educational content. If there is a new product, new service, new finish, new color, new technique, new process, new material, whatever educational content you can give the customer to educate them, new styles, educating them, you help them market or sell the product, what you are selling to them, so that they're able to further sell it. That kind of educational content needs to be created when it comes to lead. Product descriptions, which whatever product reviews, if a customer bought and if it's a best-selling item, write about it. Let the world know that this was my best-selling product, this was my best-selling design. What happened? Why did it become? So writing content around this area. Use tips and benefits, which are very simple for your products, and each company knows their products thoroughly. They know what are the tips and benefits. You have to write the benefit, not what you think, but what the consumer thinks regarding the benefit of your product. What title? Now, if you write an article, if you write any content, the content has to build in curiosity. It has to create interest, or it has to create a fear, or it has to show a benefit. A basic content which doesn't show any of these emotions, these are all emotions. And if it doesn't catch hold of the attention, that's not a good as good a content which is going to make you stop and read it. So content topics should cover your facts, words like secrets, real talks, top, bestsellers, tips, undisclosed measures. These are some of the, the titles that should be covering around, and whatever content you create for your content marketing, try and fit in around these things, because these are the words that try and catch it. Now, I'm sure some of you must be thinking, you must have already noticed it. Whatever secret, undisclosed, never talked about, whatever comes, we all go and, try and click on it, because it's curiosity. We don't know what has happened. This happened first, everybody clicks on that content because it is building curiosity, or it is building fear, or it is building interest, or it is certain benefits. So these are the kind of words that should be used in your seduction or the emotions or the titles that you would be working on. Science of numbers, using numbers is phenomenally. Always try and use 3 most, 5 most, 5 secrets, 10 secrets, 3 secrets, and use odd numbers. Science has shown that using odd numbers in your title sounds much more authentic than even numbers. So use of odd numbers, I would highly recommend with your titles of the content that you'll be making. Percentages and fractions, they seem to be highly researched and analyzed, because it means that you have done it. I'm not trying to tell you to fake it. Never ever fake anything. Don't make it out. If you don't know, find out. And trust me, Google has all the data that we need. It's a question of just taking that effort, taking that step, taking that extra pain to go and find out. A lot of information is available. Second area is delivery and amplification. And I said delivery means what vehicle we'll use and how are we going to amplify our content. Now, 3 most effective platforms for delivery and amplification in B2B scenario. First is LinkedIn marketing. And I'll be covering why in future. Second is email marketing from my perspective. And third is your website. Now, these are the 3 vehicles. I would say that in a B2B digital marketing scenario works phenomenally high, because we are into B2B scenario. We are not into B2C scenario. In exports and working in B2B, from my experiences and the people I have come across, these are the 3 areas where it works like a charm. Now, LinkedIn marketing, LinkedIn is the professional network with more than 575 million members. It's phenomenally high and is growing rapidly. But the question is, who are we looking for? Now, LinkedIn, some of the business owners, we make account, but we think it's like a Facebook. We connect our friends, we connect our relatives, and then we start chatting them on LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn is a professional network account. This is not a Facebook account, and do not use it same as a Facebook account. LinkedIn is for you to look out CEOs, purchase managers, buyers, country heads, directors, business owners. These are the kind of people who are going to be giving you businesses. Your friends and relatives is not going to be giving you business. The business is going to come from these people. Of course, LinkedIn can be used to hire good talent. That is beyond. But I'm amazed to find that how LinkedIn, for example, in my personal experience, we were able to set up offices in US, in Sweden, in Central America, using LinkedIn marketing, using relationship marketing, and sales offices which are well equipped to handle sales from different areas. And it all happened because of LinkedIn. We were able to convert orders with big giants like Walmart because of LinkedIn. So getting into LinkedIn marketing is a phenomenal area that in B2B should be worked upon. Now, LinkedIn lead generation, what is to be done in LinkedIn? It's a 3-step process. First, build connections. It is not going to happen. You're going to make an account and people are going to come and accept your request. As I said, it's a professional network. People are careful in understanding whom to connect, how to connect, why to connect. You have to build connections, and slowly it is going to happen. You can't happen 500 connects in a day. It doesn't work like that. And as I said, your objective is not to connect with your friends and relatives, because they are not the ones who want to give you businesses. The ones that are going to give you businesses are some of the people like what I mentioned in my screen above: purchase managers, buyers, country heads, directors, business owners, CEOs. These are the kind of thing. Then second step is you start building influence and initiate conversation. So you start building influence by using the content marketing strategy that I just discussed about. You start posting the content which is of value, which your idol, for example, your buyer understands, okay, I'm buying this topic or this article or this post or this video is to my liking, is on my kind of product, and I want to read more about it. Third is you start generating leads. It's only the third step. When you start in generating leads, you ask for calls, you ask for meetings. So when you are going to be working on the LinkedIn marketing, follow these 3 steps in a sequence, not generating leads or immediately you send a connect and you send, okay, because if you're trying to push, that's called the push selling. One is a push sell, one is a pull sell. Push is, I have my product, this is my product. Should I send you my product? Should I send you my catalog? Trust me, the buyer's emails are filled with such kind of offers. Hundreds and tons coming over there. So you have to understand that unless and until you are able to create your content, you're able to get the attention, you're able to build influence, you're able to initiate certain conversation, only then you're putting that move forward of generating the lead or the inquiry. Second is email marketing. Just want to make sure I'm running on time. Second is email. The third is email marketing. That's another vehicle that works phenomenally in a B2B scenario. It's called the highest conversion platform. The highest. The conversion from a website could be, depending upon the industry, vary from 0.5% to 2.5% of the inquiries. Whereas in email, it can really be a very, very high conversion platform. Consolidating and building your master emailing list is a mandate. So certain companies, small, medium, they sometimes do not have a master emailing list. So if your company has been in existence for 5 years, it means you have been selling products for 5 years. You need to have the data of those 5 years of customers, their buyers, their purchasers, and there has to be a proper list maintained for those customers. Sometimes we keep visiting cards, then we throw them or we keep them in a particular file. But when I say where is the consolidated data, then it's lost and it is everywhere. Certain merchandisers have it, certain business owners have it, certain marketing manager has it, but it's the data of the company, right? And being the business owner or the head of the company, it is your job to make sure that all the master's data of your customers is at one point of time. Because when you'll be trying to get in touch with them, you can't be doing it one-to-one. This is one-to-many kind of a thing. And you need to have updated, correct data of your customers, of whatever experiences you have had, whatever trade shows you have visited. There is a lot of exchange of cards. Over a period of time, if I say about 7 years ago, where are the cards? It's going to take a couple of time. Never mind. Start consolidating. Start building. Start with what you have. And you don't need a software. You don't need a CRM. You need a simple Excel. Start putting in data of all the emails data that you have over there. Consolidate your lost, current, and potential customer list. If there was a customer who visited or you got an email touch, then the customer is a potential customer, right? So there were exchange of information that was done, but nothing worked out. It's still a potential customer if it took the liberty to come there. Put them into the list so that whenever we start the email marketing, whenever we start amplifying the content that is being created, those people are regularly getting the updates. Get new email IDs from your website or from others' web or from different trade fairs, LinkedIn Connects, trade directories. There are different kind of portals I'm telling you about from where you can get the email data. Now, I know there are a lot of companies who are also selling data, but be very careful while you're buying the data, from which source you are buying the data. I'm not against buying the data, but what I say, you just need to make sure that they're not spam data. Because there are certain times, DVDs, CDs available with 1,000 clients, and you come at the end of the day and none of them are your ideal clients. So be careful. Of course, they are known, trusted sources and legal, legitimate sources where you can get all the import data or the export data that I'll be discussing later on my one-day seminar, which is being planned soon, that how and to get authenticate data regarding your ideal customers, regarding your competitors, of what they are buying. But you need to start consolidating the ideal customer data. We don't want to, pump in and bloat the data. You don't want everyone's data there. You want the data which is your ideal customer. You don't, for example, if you're into cosmetics, you don't want a home textile buyer data available over there. It's completely different ballgame altogether. But always remember that cross-selling products or upselling products are always related. We have McDonald's as a beautiful example. Burgers had nothing to do with fries, and fries had nothing to do with Coca-Cola, but they were always cross and upselling. So we have to make sure when you're collecting data, we have the data available of cross-selling or upselling data available. Stay away from spamming. Once we are doing email marketing, we got to stay away from spamming. And spamming basically means that you are trying to show something that you're not. You're trying to bombard thousands and thousands emails. Unknown data has been bought, and you're trying to, just send this data to many people at the same time. Spamming by itself is a big topic that needs to be discussed, but I've just touched this topic that make sure, be authenticate of what you are. Marketing doesn't mean that you lie or you exaggerate of what you were trying to do. That's completely the other side. But be genuine about what you are doing and stay away from spamming areas. We need to create digital marketing. When I said in the beginning that you'll understand how to get one to many at the same time, we need to create and automatically have a sales sequence of emails set up for the new customer or the new lead which comes up. About your company video, about your company product, about your company offers, about your certifications. Now, this has to be a whole sequence of emails that needs to be fixed and can be fixed for your customers. A lot of time we feel, no, all customers are different. It doesn't happen. If a new customer comes, 80%, 90% of the inquiries of their questions would be same. What we call as FAQs, the frequently asked questions, or also make your SAQs, should be asked questions. What questions would you like the customer to ask? What questions from your experience, 1 year or 3 years or 30 years of experience, what kind of questions that new customer asks you? Minimum quantities, price, delivery, lead time. This is a whole sequence of events that has to be well thought of and planned to send. Once the inquiry comes, it's being sent automatically. You don't need a person to do it. Digitally, there are platforms available where you can, schedule it, and it can be done automatically. You can do it day-wise. You can do it first day, third day. If, for example, if an inquiry comes on the first day, okay, first day, this is my email that would be sent. Third day, this is the email that will be sent. Fifth day, this is. Ninth day, 15th day, and so on. what we do is to set up a calendar for 52 weeks of a new customer. And it doesn't mean we are again and again sending the photo offers. We are telling the customer about different areas, different aspects of our company, of our products, of our industry, of what is happening. So the customer is being aware and kept updated. You can do it date-wise. You can send emails on a specific date. All this can be done through an autoresponder. You can delegate all this work through an autoresponder, and you can automate this. Everything of this, what I said, is completely possible to automate it. You can fix it. You can schedule your customers. This is a new inquiry. You put them into that funnel, and then you use an autoresponder. Now, autoresponder is any tool that you use to send mails automatically. Then there are many available. Zoho, and so many are there. But the one that I would highly recommend is using MailChimp, especially if you're starting, because it's free. It's free for 2,000 monthly subscribers. You can send up to 12,000 emails every month, free of cost. And I'm a big fan of using stuff which can save money. So you don't need, the reason I'm only mentioned one autoresponder is because it's free, and to get 2,000 monthly subscribers also takes time. Once you're able to do that, of course, you can get the paid version and you can upcharge and start using the other tools which are available and other strategies which are available in MailChimp. I'm not completely saying that others are not as good. What I mean is, start with MailChimp. If you do not have MailChimp, make a simple free email account, and you will have access to send 2,000 monthly subscribers mails in a 30-day periods. That's 12,000 emails. So if you're looking for export businesses, but you don't have enough leads and you want to scale up your business rapidly, is this one of your challenge? And your export business is stagnating for the last 3 years because you don't know where to get more customers or clients. You're dependent on existing customers, where your existing customer is taking most of your business turnover, and you're dependent on them. If something happens to them, what will happen to my company? If this is your concern, and adding new customers consistently is a challenge, and you would like to sell into new countries, new geographies of your choice, and you know that digital marketing can help your business, but you don't know the step-by-step approach, and you need a financial approach and guidance and hand-holding for someone, then we have a solution. I'll be announcing a tailor-made one-day webinar on B2B sales explosion for export owners. This is majorly for export owners because I work with an export owner's mindset. I'm an export owner myself. I've been in this industry 17 years. I've seen my dad slog for 39 years of this company, Sava. I know what the exporter's mindset is. And with this experience, I'll be focusing only on the export owners on this Global Sales Explosion B2B seminar. But before I go further, I would like to ask questions. If people have questions right now, I would be willing to address it now.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. Well, we'll be taking a few questions, but before that, I would request our President Fair and Vice Presidents Fair, who are present here with us, to share their thoughts about this. Well, we thank you for expounding on multiple aspects of digital marketing and on various problems faced by the exporters to begin with, from generating leads and inquiries to creating content for digital marketing, from delivering the message to the targeted customers to taking the charge of your own 5 building blocks of global sales, from increasing lead conversions to consistently adding new customers. You also enumerated on various benefits of digital marketing. Thank you for that wonderful and perspicuous and very comprehensive presentation, Mr. Khanna. I'm certain that there are many takeaways from today's presentation, and our attendees will surely benefit from it. I can see only one question in the question answer tab, but I'm sure we'll be having more questions also. If we can have more windows on our screen, I will know who all are present here with us. If Vineet Ji is here, who's president of IFJAS.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, so you've been in the fashion industry for more than 20 years. Vineet ji, if you have any thoughts about this presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone, to the webinar. Thanks, Mr. Anuj. Your thoughts and views on digital marketing. Will definitely like to get my hand on your book for sure.
Yeah.
All thanks to digital marketing. Sure.
Yeah, no, so I just got 2 days ago, so I was really, really thrilled to have it, and it would be available on Amazon from Monday onwards. I've just done the final proofread, so from Monday it would be available on the web, on the Amazon to buy it as well.
I think all thanks to digital marketing, science and technology that we are able to hold these seminars sitting in the comfort and safety of our own home. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change, as said by Stephen Hawkins. And there's a change in narrative, and as virtual being the new normal. And during this pandemic, every business owner has realized one thing: it's impossible to survive without an online presence. Due to coronavirus, the world has become even more digitalized, I think. Developing a business website and investing in digital marketing has become, I think, more important than it was before. This means that if you want to kickstart your business after COVID-19, it's crucial to get your digital footprint stronger through your websites, through your social media, and whatever Anuj has explained in detail. I think I will not mention that. He's the expert in that. And in the coming months, your prospect clients are not going to be less open to the idea of letting you walk through the door and shake their hands, I think. And we have a very practical example in front of us with EPCH giving all exporters a digital platform, showcasing our presence in the international and domestic market in these tough times. This has saved, I think, operational cost of both exporters and buyers as to the booth setup cost, the travel cost, the hotel cost, and all thanks to the digital world and EPCH for that matter. So we'll not take much of your time, and I'll sum up by saying the man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops the clock to save time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vineet ji, for your views. And do we have Nupur Batra with us? She is president of JAS. Nupur, are you there? She's been very successfully catering to the international buyers through her label. And
Anuj, this has been a fantastic talk. I come from a family where my father was like considered as the management guru in India and overseas, okay, in Japan and all that. And, you know, listening to you, it was something like my father talking about consolidating everything and all that. And I could actually feel the passion and the genuinity with what you were talking. If I can do only 30% of what you've told me, I'm sure I can double up my turnover. Honestly, absolutely good. I have a small label, but my only problem is because you know, you need to be good at technology to do this. So I am really excited for this seminar of yours, which you were telling me that you can like help us to get this whole sorted out, because as per my experience, I have a label and I had to shift 2-3 agencies to get that, because somebody made my website, somebody made my Instagram, somebody made my Facebook, you know, everything consolidated. If somebody like Anuj Khanna, because I think apart from me, all other exporters would love to move forward. I think absolutely amazing, Anuj. Thank you.
Thank you. So after this, your question and some of similar questions are there. So after we finish this quick question and answers, I'll just take 5 more minutes to introduce about this seminar, because what you are facing, you're not alone, Nipur. And business owner's job is not to do the work. My job in this seminar is to inform business owners what you need to know. We have to get the work done. We don't have to do it. But we should know so that we are not being taken for a ride. And we know, because nobody knows our business better than us, the business owners, and nobody can sell the business better or your product better than you, because you are the life of your business.
Yes.
And if you know what to be achieved and how, which vehicle we use, that's all we need to know. And my seminar is all about business owners' mindset and what they should be aware, so they're not taken for a ride and don't know exactly we are hitting the nail. Great, thank you.
So you don't have to personally do it yourself, you have to get the work done.
Yes, but a lot of challenges, Nupur, what happens is that people, business owners are not aware which one to use because there's a lot of confusion. And,
Yes.
you know, with the age also, when you are above 30 and 40s and 50s, some people are technically savvy. Now, a lot of business owners think, I am not technology driven. I don't know technology. And by saying that repeatedly, years after the years, they made sure that they don't even touch
You are actually echoing what I say to myself, and
So you have to attend my 1 day thing because my first half is all about first clearing your mind. And it is very simple and I am going to make it super simple. And like a lot of stuff, I just know that this can happen and then I get the job done.
Anuj, don't forget you're on a platform where we are like close to 200, 300 exporters. All of us will bombard you, okay?
No worries.
Vineet is here, Anshul is here, all of
No worries. So I'll be updating about this webinar in next 5 minutes.
Great.
I'll tell
All
them
right.
and then we can do the registrations as well.
So Mr. Khanna, if you can just go through these question answers and select a few of them. In the meantime,
Sure. I think the first one, Neeraj Jain has a question. If we can have a look at this presentation.
One second, Anuji.
Yeah.
We have with us Mr. Anshul Gola.
Yeah.
He's also the Vice President of the fair. So we would like to hear from him first, then we'll come to the question answer session.
Sure.
Mr. Gola.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Anuj, for the wonderful presentation. You have covered almost all the doubts I had about digital marketing, which are under our control. So I was familiar with what digital marketing is, but it has always been a challenge for us to implement it properly. I have, though, one question, which I don't know if it's under your scope. What amount of money is enough that we can spend into digital marketing to get the ROI, return of investment? And once again, amazing presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshul. It's a great and super question because that's how business owners think that how much money should I invest and what's my return? You know, and the best way of answering this question is that if you hire a merchandiser or a marketing person, right? We hire the people, but we are not putting so much of targets on them. So we have to understand our budget of digital marketing. First, LinkedIn marketing, there is no expense that I would be recommending of doing it. So LinkedIn marketing, email marketing, the reason I used MailChimp is also free. And if we can cross 12,000 emails and generate, then we can think of spending some money on mail. And the third is content. That's also completely free. So as far as direct investment, nothing. But coming to your question, how much money should I be spending on this? Is if you hire a merchandiser or a marketing manager, how much business that XYZ person can get for you. If they're able to get that business, for example, the person comes at 40,000 salary or 50,000 or 75,000. It depends. Every company has its own scales. So 50,000, for example, just take an example, 50,000, can they give me 5 crores or a 1 crore business? What is the percentage of that? Same concept we have to think. If I'm spending 40,000 a month, in what is my margin in terms of my business, gross margin, what money will I save if I spend 30,000? And that's exactly and only what a business owner should be focusing.
So that depends on everyone's business. So
That's
it depends
right.
person to person, yeah.
It depends person to person. So you are the best just to understand which one to go. But the vehicles that I've covered in today and the vehicles that we'll be covering, I haven't, because a lot of exporters, see, I have a fellow exporters that know we are digitally not so advanced. There are few companies which are exceptions, but majority, I would say 70 to 80% of the companies, we are just beginners or, you know, or certain are intermediate. We are not experts yet. To get to there, a lot of things are free because we have to also grow ourselves. You know, our sales skills, our understanding of digital marketing needs to enhance, and it goes over a period of time. Only once we know how safe we are, we pull out some money from our pocket. Otherwise, no. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So now we can take a few questions, Mr. Khanna.
लाइव रहेगा ना, जब तक उसको पूरा एक्सप्लोर कर लेना, तब तो हमें कोई हमारे वो नहीं होगा ना, क्या कहा?
Okay, so first question I can see on my screen. Yeah, first question is, apart from email address, what other areas of data which you capture? Of course, email address, company name, person name, geography, which country or which city they are coming from. Mobile numbers and emails are the two most important area to capture, the most important. And more than mobile in B2B digital marketing, I would say email. Because email and correct updated emails, not emails that do not work, but correct updated emails, name of the company and geography. These are the basic 3-4 information that you must capture. So Subjot, I think that should answer the question that you had. Then the next question was, can we have a link to this presentation? I think Mr. Rajesh would be able to share the link, and Mr. Rajesh can confirm that. Because this is EPCH platform, I have to take permission from them.
Mr. Khanna, some people have also commented in the tab of chat. They are chatting. So if you can just take a few questions from chat.
Sure, I'll just get the chat as well. One of the questions, I have 500 plus connections on LinkedIn, but I cannot sell. Vishal, that question is because the kind of connects that you have would not be in your ideal category of customers or your dream customers or your ideal customers. 500 connects could be people with your business associates or friends or relatives, or different kind of people would be connected. That could be one of the reasons. The other reason that could be there, I'm not sure, Vishal, is that the kind of influence that you need to make to connect is not happening. So these could be the reasons that could be there, I could think of. Artificial retail and manufacturing, how can I get into exports? Well, getting in touch with export promotion for exports would be definitely that answer, Sonia. You said that you would like to get into exports. So of course, getting into exports is all the different, you need an export license, you need registration. So those are the kind of things that you need to be taking care of. And then we have good to know exporters like Nupur Batra are open to adopting. Okay. Does my business page have to be different from my personal page on LinkedIn? Yes, Kajal. Kajal had a question. Does my business page have to be different from my personal page? Yes, the company page has to be different from your page. At the same time, if you're the business owner, Kajal, I'm not sure if you're the business owner of your company. If you're the business owner, then you're the engine, Kajal. You drive the organization. So your personal page becomes more relevant than the page of the company. Company page has to be done. Then we have, in the post-COVID world, what other steps in buying will move to digital? Will product displays also needs to be digitalized? Product displays, of course, which virtual trade show what we are and where we are today is the exact example that all your product displays are getting digitalized already, Pratima. So your question was, will product displays also need to be digitized? Yes. And I'll just extend this question because people think I need a good photographer, I need a videographer. The biggest challenge and the biggest weapon we have today is our phones. This is a weapon of mass construction, not destruction. Our phone camera qualities is more than sufficient. And I break this myth also in my webinar because people think I have to spend a lot of money on good photography. I have to spend a lot of money on digital photography. No, you need a fair enough phone, 5, 10,000, 15,000, and that should be good enough. There are a lot of apps which are already available that you can use to enhance, and what you need is commitment. Commitment to learn, commitment to implement. And that's all what we need. So of course it needs to be digitalized. Do you think photography is deceptive? Kajal, I'm not sure about your question when you say photography is deceptive. Photographies are of course enhanced, but they are not deceptive. And I would never recommend being deceptive about your product or try and stealing product from the website and putting it and showing it as your product, because credibility is the most important thing in business. If once lost, it doesn't come back, so I wouldn't be advocating any deceptive photography. People would be doing it. Some companies do it. I don't know. I do not want to comment on it, but I definitely condemn any deceptive photography of any kind.
So thank you, Mr. Khanna. I think, do we have more questions?
If not, then I'll take the next 10 minutes and I'll quickly go through the webinar because I'm sure that a lot of people would be interested in it. What are the
Sure.
benefits? Yeah, Mridu, is that fine?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just. So the benefits of this program is going to be build a B2B digital marketing lead generator or sales engine. So that is what I'll be working, how to build a generator, a lead generator, or how to build your engine of your company, which is going to be producing leads and eventually resulting into customers. First is lead, then comes the customer. First the inquiry, then the customer. So in this one-day webinar, which is going to be for the whole day, I'll be working on the structure and the system of generating, of creating your marketing lead generator. Second is setting up your global sales engine. What is going to be this sales engine? We do a lot of structure planning, departmental planning in all other departments. But when it comes to sales, I have experienced our structure is very vivid. A merchandiser becomes a marketing person becomes a merchandiser. They also try to handle the production activities. They also try to handle the operation activities. And then we also tell them, okay, follow up on the payments. So when it comes to sales engine, that structure is pretty vague. And we all know, vague input results into a vague output. So that setting up the sales engine is one of the areas that what should be the ideal B2B scenario sales engine for the digital marketing. Also, the question of Anshul was that should I hire the person or should I be spending? That would also partly be covered into this area, which generates revenues and profits. And I'll be sharing the LinkedIn hacks, which I have worked and I know and learned from one of the best in this industry of digital marketing, how to get connected with your ideal customers, how to start conversations, how do they accept your request. LinkedIn is not as easy request acceptance area as Facebook is. Facebook, since you know people, you get accepted. LinkedIn, people are very careful of accepting because they are being flooded and pumped with different kind of push offers, sales offers that they are having. The next thing about this is what strategies in 2020 and also the post-COVID, what would be the sales strategies? We all know minimum 3 months, there is not going to be an international traveling until you are stuck with your crores of orders. People are not going to be traveling, buyers are not going to be traveling abroad. We are not going to be able to travel to meet our customers. So what are the sales strategy we should be applying post-COVID? And the strategies which used to work in 80s, 90s, as I said, my company was, as a parent company, started in 1980. There was a different sales strategy. I remember, my father flying over in Norway and people picking him up, customer picking him up and taking him straight to his office and making sure he doesn't meet anybody else and going back. There were different sales strategy back then. There were different sales strategies in the 90s. Well, this is 2020 and COVID has changed life for everyone. Then there's a new way of living a life post-COVID. So what are the strategies? What are the techniques that you should be using in order to go post the COVID area? Get international customers from geography of your choice. So in digital marketing, we can actually target and focus the areas. For example, if you're pretty strong in UK and you want to expand into France, or you're pretty strong in Germany, you want to get into another market. So you can actually specify, target those customers. And we're going to be targeting the customers from the geography that you think. But while I'll be discussing in my one-day seminar, I'm going to be talking about why a geography. Because as a business owner, I want to make sure that we are not strayed with our ego massages or boost. I have got so many connects. I have so many customers I know. I'm sorry to say, but it's bollocks. I'm interested in what's your sales increase, what's your profit increase. Only two areas, your sales and your profits, because that's what makes difference. I have 5,000 friends. Oh, well, you can have 5,000 friends or 5,000 connects. How much business are you getting them is my pinpointing, hurting question. How much business are you able to convert from the connects that you are having? Then building your customer acquisition strategy. What is the strategy that I'll be acquiring my new customers? For my go-to-market strategy, when I start marketing, What strategy would the company should be applying? These are some of the benefits of attending this one-day workshop. But the most important thing amongst all of them is your global export sales. How is it going to be exploding in the coming months by keeping consistent inflow of leads? So don't worry about the leads. Sometimes I have to put a lead attractor off because my back office becomes the bottleneck. So this is something that is going to happen once we start working on this one-day seminar. You get a fair idea. Right now I can say it must be thinking, no, it's not possible. How can I get so? Trust me, I have been there. I have done it from my company, and I sometimes have to stop because there's so many leads that if you don't cater to that lead, what's the point of having an inquiry? If you can't send an offer in time, if you can't send the sample in time, what's the point of meeting and getting, you're burning that. So we have to make sure that both things are in hand. So this is one of the most important things that you'll be able to learn how to generate a lot of leads. Now, this is a global sales webinar. There are people who would be joining from Uzbekistan as well as of now. And this is going to be scheduled on 19th of June. It's going to be a full day seminar from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. where I'll be discussing the benefits which I have just shared. And the regular investment for you to get into this seminar is 9,500 plus GST. That would be the regular investment that would be required for this complete one-day seminar. I was talking with EPCH as well for registrations by 6th June. If you're able to register by 6th June and get an early bird, then the early bird is going to be 5,500 plus GST, and it's going to be completely a webinar on Zoom. That's a cost that's the investment that needs to be paid. And for the first 20 registrations, which happens, and registration by first 20 is by the ways of money that is going to be received by us, is I'll be sharing the 6 ready-to-use tested LinkedIn scripts that you can use immediately to connect with your customers. I'll be sharing my sales calendar template of what to be sent at first, second, third, fifth mail, 7th mail, 10th mail, and a period of interval. What days, if a new inquiry comes, when do you send that? In 3 days, in 5 days, you don't send an email every day. You have to set it up, scale it up, and put it in a loop which goes on for 52 weeks at around the clock. And I'm going to be sharing a tool for your content making where 250 plus topics, there are certain words that you need to change, and you'll be able to customize.
Mr. Khanna, I'll have to interrupt as we're running out of time.
Yeah.
The time limit for this. And we once again would like to thank you for your presentation and all the best for your webinar. Digital is certainly the way to go, and it is the future. And as Vineet ji just mentioned a few minutes ago, that virtual is the new normal. So the sooner we get accustomed to it, the better it will be for our businesses. So thank you, Mr. Vineet Bhatia, Nupur, Mr. Gola, Mr. Rawat, and of course, Mr. Anuj Khanna, and all the attendees who attended this webinar. I hope you all benefited from it. Thank you so much on behalf of EPCH. See you next time.